On today's show, due to the Clippers making that trade with the Oklahoma City Thunder 5 years ago, people might say they don't have a very good future with OKC owning their picks. But after the preseason finale the other night, maybe our future isn't as bleak as we think. Because Jordan Miller, he might not just be an NBA player. He might be ready to go right now. Going to be talking about it all on today's Locked On. We're ready for the regular season Clippers.
You are Locked On Clippers, your daily Los Angeles Clippers podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Yes, sir. You were locking in with the Clips. Thank you for making Locked On Clippers the first listen of your day, your team every day. I'm your host, Darian Vaziri, born and raised in LA, and beginning my 20th season as a Clipper fan. You can also follow me on Twitter and Instagram at DimeDropperPod, and subscribe to my own YouTube channel, Dime Dropper, for even more NBA, LA Clipper, and LA sports content. And Locked On Clippers is free and available wherever you get your podcasts, including YouTube. I want you to let me know what you thought of this preseason finale against the Sacramento Kings. Another win for the Clippers, ending our preseason campaign 4-1, with our only loss coming on a game winner against the Golden State Warriors in Hawaii. So pretty good, but of course, record in preseason doesn't mean diddly squat. It's about what you're seeing on the floor. And in this game, the Clippers beat the Sacramento Kings 113-91. It was our second game ever at the Intuit Dome. I was not there. I heard it was not as loud, but let me tell you, that noise is coming in better at the Intuit Dome in preseason than even some regular season games did at the Staples Center. And I don't mean just off sheer noise, but just kind of hearing it and realizing, oh, if that's what it sounds like with that many people, when we actually have the amount of people that were at games consistently at Staples Center, it's only going to sound even better. But I'm going to talk to you about some players in particular in this episode, and those players are going to be Jordan Miller, Terrence Mann, Bones Hyland, and Amir Coffey. Now, in this game, James Harden and Derrick Jones Jr. were rested, which I totally stand by and agree with. We're going to need James Harden a lot this season. And with the news coming out the other day I keep saying the news coming out, but it wasn't really that big of news. We all kind of knew it. It was just confirmed to us that Kawhi Leonard's going to be out indefinitely. And if you did not check out the last episode of Locked On Clippers with Law Murray giving clarity on when things happened and where Kawhi's at and what the news means, check that one out. But with Kawhi out for a little bit of time, to say the least, James Harden is going to have a huge role. He's going to have to basically carry our offense, in my opinion. So we're going to need him rested. Derrick Jones Jr., honestly, I wouldn't have cared if he played or not, but played or didn't. But, the less risk, the better. It's okay if he rests in the preseason finale. So we went with a starting lineup of Terrence Mann, Norman Powell, Bones Hyland starting at point guard. So when I had Adam Oslan on the show the previous day, we talked about how Bones Hyland, it seems as though he is not going to be in the plans. He's going to get traded any week now because with the addition of Kevin Porter Jr., who kind of serves in that role as well as a better come in, get buckets, create shots, make a bit and pick and roll. And on top of that, you bring in Chris Dunn, and you're starting James Harden. Those three guys are all basically point guards in the league. Bones Hyland has that fourth guy, and he was already not very happy with his role last year. Him getting a DNP in a preseason game, that was somewhat telling in my opinion. But because James Harden was being rested, and because Kevin Porter Jr. didn't play with a dental absence, so I'm guessing he got his wisdom teeth pulled or something, he didn't play. So Bones Hyland now obviously slots right in, and then Chris Dunn came off the bench. Now, this was a pretty wire-to-wire kind of win for us. We were up 30-20 after the first quarter, outscored the Sacramento Kings 35-18 in the second quarter, and only got outscored in the third quarter. And mind you, DeMar DeRozan played 25 minutes, Domantas Sabonis played 27 minutes, Keegan Murray played 29, Keon Ellis played 20. So a lot of their big-time players actually got, I don't want to say significant minutes, but a decent chunk. We're talking 20-plus minutes. De'Aaron Fox was the guy that didn't play, obviously, but I think the Kings are going to be pretty good this year. I think DeRozan's going to help them in the regular season, but they were 0-5 in preseason, and I love DeMar DeRozan, but I don't know how much of a needle mover that is for the Sacramento Kings. Point being that if the Clippers were healthy, I would take the Clippers over the Sacramento Kings. It's just Kawhi's health makes me so skeptical about regular season results. Obviously, postseason results too, but I'm not even looking at the postseason right now. Malik Monk also didn't play. Kevin Huerter as well. I wonder, I'm not watching the Kings preseason games like that, so I don't even know if Malik Monk and Kevin Huerter are back from their injuries, and if they are, good for them. We definitely want more players healthy in the league, of course. But let's talk about Jordan Miller, who for me was the standout in this game. I've mentioned it a couple of times, but every single time Jordan Miller comes into a game, whether it be preseason, summer league, his stats in the G League last year, he averaged 22 points a game. He plays well every single time he comes in. And last year he was okay. He got limited minutes in the regular season. And in his first summer league campaign, I thought he was nothing but average. But the way he's improved over the course of last season in the G League, and then what we saw in summer league, him finishing second in MVP voting, and then the way he continues to play, there's a player in there. There's an NBA player in there. And funny enough, we drafted him 48, just like we drafted Terrence Mann 48, and we might have struck gold. He is fantastic finishing with his strong hand and when he gets in the paint. The more dribble handoffs we run for him getting to his left hand, or the more actions we run for him to get to his left hand, the better. But let me just say this. His confidence, that's what sticks out to me. The way he pulled that move against my favorite college player of all time, Jordan McLaughlin, that went to USC, where he went like behind the back into his right hand and then did a Euro off of his left foot with his left hand on the left side. You know, usually fundamentally left hand finish, right going off the right foot if you're going off one. Then on the other side, going up the right hand, left foot finish. But at the NBA level, some of these guys have the finishes, or really need to have the finishes off of both feet. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander being one that is top tier at this. But Jordan Miller, that finish was pretty incredible, and the confidence he had in his handle was quite impressive throughout the game. Seems like he's really improved in that department. And when he gets in the paint, his floaters, his runners, they seem to go in most of the time. And if he doesn't make the shot, he ends up getting fouled. And he's got a real knack for getting fouled. And it's not like he tries to foul bait a ton. He really gets into the paint and finds a way to draw contact. He goes up strong. And some of those runners he was hitting, I was like, man, in addition to the catch and shoot threes. And he's got good size defensively. He had, 21 points to lead the way for us, 3 rebounds, 2 assists, 1 steal, just 1 turnover, on 8 for 11 shooting, 2 for 2 from 3, and 3 for 4 from the foul line. He's got that fantastic ability to decelerate in the paint, and defenders will just fly by, and it seems like, you know, he turns on the jets, absorbs contact, and then he's still able to slow down and have the control and composure and balance to finish or make a play. We might have struck gold, ladies and gentlemen. And with things looking bleak in terms of our future, with the lack of picks that we have, and Kawhi Leonard just being such a question mark, Jordan Miller being a solid player, man, that could really make us a little bit more confident as an organization to take some risks, in the sense that maybe we're not totally screwed if we retool. And as far as him helping the team right now, right, That's going to be tough. And Ty Lue was asked about that after the game, and he kind of said, we'll see. Because the fact of the matter is, Amir Coffey, Terrence Mann, Norman Powell, Chris Dunn, Derrick Jones, all those guys, they have seniority. They've proven things. So there's politics involved here as well. It's not as simple as Jordan Miller's played great in Summer League and preseason, so now he gets to play. I think he might get some minutes, but I'd be shocked if he got even 10 minutes on opening night, for example, against the Suns. At most, I would imagine he comes in for 3 to 5 minutes to spare somebody, because we're not going to have Kawhi. But there are certain guys ahead of him in the pecking order, and one of those guys is Terrence Mann, who just celebrated his 28th birthday on Friday. Going to be talking about the game he had, because I believe it was his best game in preseason. I got to tell you a little something about Hims. Your sex life is important, but your schedule is busy. You don't have the time to go to a doctor's office to get treated for ED. But through Hims, you can get a personalized ED treatment without stepping foot outside your door. Hims is changing men's health care by providing you with access to affordable sexual health treatments from the comfort of your couch. Hims provides access to a range of doctor-trusted ED treatments like chewable hard mints, Viagra, Cialis, and their generics for up to 95% cheaper. And the process is 100% online, so there's no need for uncomfortable doctor's visits. No insurance is needed, and one low price covers everything from treatments to ongoing care. Start your free online visit today at hims.com/lockedon. That's HIMS.com/lockedon for your personalized ED treatment options. hims.com/lockedon. All right, so Jordan Miller really impressing, but this is why I don't think that he's going to be in the rotation to begin the season at least. And it's not that I don't want that, but let's just look realistically. Our starting lineup to begin the season, because we know Kawhi is not going to play, is James Harden, Norman Powell, Terrence Mann, Derrick Jones Jr., and Ivica Zubac, right? So off the bench, the one guy you know you're getting is Nico Batum. The guy that you want to be getting is Nico Batum, of course. Come on. He's fantastic. Anyway, then you've got Kevin Porter Jr., who's proven that due to his size, he's just simply better than Bones. I'm going to talk more about Bones in the third segment, but he's more confident with the ball in his hands. I think they both over-dribble, but Kevin Porter Jr. is just bigger. He's a little bit more decisive with his moves, a little bit less dilly-dallying, and has a little more intention behind what he does with the ball. But it's mostly to me because he's more confident due to his size and having the experience of averaging 19 points in the NBA. No matter what people want to say about how bad the team was, and the team was terrible, the worst team I've ever seen in my entire time watching NBA basketball, I swear. They were so dysfunctional. It was literally like a men's league team with a bunch of talent just going out there playing against organized basketball teams in the NBA. It was insane. But KPJ still averaged 19 points. Bones Highland has not proven that he could average 19 points in the NBA. On a bad team, I think he could average double digit. But 19, I don't know about that. Kevin Porter Jr.'s size, to me, is what really just gives him the big edge over Bones. And defensively, he's looked better as well in the preseason. So I think, especially also with the lack of shot creation the Clippers have, you're going to need one of KPJ or James Harden in the game at all times, in my opinion. Because we're not going to have the same shot creation. I don't think Norm, Terrence, Zoo, and who else? And Chris Dunn. I don't think those guys are reliable shot creators. I truly don't. None of them are fantastic in pick and roll. Zubac obviously is a big man. Is he going to be good enough as a post hub? I have my doubts in this way. Zoo needs to now that he's going to get a little more attention, and I talked about this with Adam, he needs to fight a little bit harder for post position than he's used to. Because if he wants to get the ball more throughout a game, it's not just those early possessions in the beginning of quarters where the defense is kind of slacking and, a cross screen is set and maybe teams aren't communicating sharply on that first possession and he catches the ball on the low block and he can go up. He's going to have to fight for post position. The guys that are throwing the entry passes, that's another thing that it exposes. of modern players that I think is a big weakness is the entry pass. While it might be harder to make now because dudes are trying to sandwich by coming across the key, which would have been illegal defense back in the day, which is what Adam and I talked about, that might be a little bit harder to throw that entry, but the entry is still there. And I think it's because people and players are not used to throwing entry passes because it's not a post-up game really anymore. So when teams aren't posting up, you're not throwing entry passes. And I also know it's not a skill emphasized at youth levels. So, yeah, it wasn't emphasized to me. It's not emphasized now. That's going to come into play for the Clippers this year. I trust James Harden, but can guys throw good lob passes to Zoo if they're fronting the post? Can they throw a good entry pass if they're not fronting the post? Can Zoo seal off the man so they're not getting a hand on those entry passes even if they're not picture perfect? You know what I'm saying? These things are all going to come into play for Zoo. Fighting for post position, keeping the defender on his back, that stuff is going to come into play majorly. And then when he catches the ball, knowing when the help's coming and getting rid of it quickly when they dig from the top. If they come from the bottom, he's got to see the floor. You know what I'm saying? He's got to take a second. But anyway, back to Terrence. I thought he was really good in this game. And the more transition basketball and quick offense we try to get off of our stops and turnovers, the better Terrence Mann is going to be. But I was impressed with his jump shooting ability in this game. He even had a nice contested pull-up. 12 points for him, 2 boards, 1 steal on 5 for 6 shooting, 1 for 2 from 3. So I liked what I saw from Terrence. He was aggressive in his minutes. He had more points than minutes. So it's those games that make you think, look, I think that contract was worth it. I think he's going to live up to it. But my thing with Terrence is this. He's got to keep shooting the ball with confidence. Point blank, end of story. Defensively, I've loved him so far in the preseason. He's been super active, good hands, fighting hard as usual. And now it feels like he has the confidence that I don't have to do everything on that end of the floor anymore in terms of guarding the best players and the big assignments. Derek Jones is going to be there to help. Chris Dunn is just fantastic defensively. Offensively, he doesn't even look at the basket right now. And that's a problem. And it's going to be exposed in the regular season if he does not change that. I need him to take those open threes, those shots when teams are closing out and he has an opportunity to shoot that mid-range. He's got to take those shots. I saw him hit mid-ranges at Providence. He can take those, and I think he can make those. But not taking shots, that's the same thing as Terrence Mann. And if I'm being real, Chris Dunn looks more hesitant offensively than Terrence Mann by a lot so far in this preseason. But I liked what I saw from Terrence. I think, as I said, the main thing is getting him out in transition so he can showcase his athletic abilities and that finishing ability. But in the half court, he's got to just shoot the ball with confidence, and then teams are going to react differently. Because the cutting and all that, that's going to be there. I can already see Zubats getting attention in the post and Terrence Mann cutting, getting an open bucket. But will Zubats find him on that pass and make a good pass? James Harden, he's going to get tons of attention. He's going to create a lot of good shots for Terrence Mann with him just standing still. There's also going to be times where teams are loading up off of Terrence and he can cut, and James is a good enough passer to get him that ball in the cut. So, I was happy with what I saw from him. Zubats had 8 points, 3 rebounds, 1 assist on 3 for 4 shooting in 15 minutes. So we're going to see that first game against Phoenix. Their defenders at the center position are Yusuf Nurkic, Bol, and Mason Plumlee. In my opinion, Zubats can dominate those guys. There's no reason why he shouldn't go for a 20-point game that night. First night at the Intuit Dome. You've been here longer than anybody. Are we going to feed him? Is he going to demand the ball? Is he going to fight for good enough post position? And is he going to handle the double well, the multiple bodies well? I have faith in him, but you never know unless you try. And coming up, going to talk more about Bones Highland. What did we see from him in this game? And Amir Coffey. He looked like he was playing with a purpose, and I think I know what that purpose was. Going to be talking about that coming up. I gotta tell you a little something about FanDuel. Right now, sports fans, you can start the season with a big return on FanDuel. So when you get a hunch in the middle of the game, you can check out the latest stats, view live play-by-play, and so much more on the same page where you place your bets. You'll get started with $200 in bonus bets guaranteed when you place your first $5 bet. Now, right now, when we're talking about FanDuel and looking at NBA odds, they already have bets for the opening game against the Suns. And I haven't really checked them since Kawhi was ruled out, and now the line has changed. It's -4.5 for the Phoenix Suns. Be a real Clipper fan. Actually, no, it doesn't mean you're not a real Clipper fan, but be an optimistic Clipper fan and throw that on the Clippers. Because guess what? Intuit Dome, I think the crowd might will the team to victory. And where can you do that? FanDuel.com. All right, talking about the Clippers preseason finale. A big-time win over the Sacramento Kings. Big time as far as preseason goes. 113-91. Norman Powell continues to have a very solid preseason offensively. He's been super aggressive, and we're going to need that from him throughout the season, as everybody knows, with the loss of Paul George and, of course, number 2 being out for a little bit. But Norm's still getting to his foul-baiting tactics. The second he sees that hand in the cookie jar, he throws it up, but he seems to get that call every time. 10 points, 3 boards, 1 assist for Norm on 2 for 4 shooting, 1 for 2 from 3, and 5 for 6 from the line. Clippers shot 54% from the field in this game, 37% from 3. So pretty good in those departments, if I say so myself. And then, but free throws, 71%. Not too great. Terrence Mann, 1 for 3, and he's been a little suspect from the line in the preseason, so I want everyone to keep an eye on that because that concerns me a bit. Bones Highland and Amir Coffey. That's where we're going to end it tonight. I'll also chime in about Kai and Kobe too, but Bones Highland. How do I put this? I think he had some good moments, but there's a lot of dilly-dallying on the ball, of ball pounding, of him just taking 3 to 4 extra dribbles when he doesn't need to, when he's got somebody that he's clearly quicker than and he can blow by without doing all the trying to lull to sleep. Because it burns the clock. It makes everybody stand around more. Defense can load up and stare at the ball a little bit more. And it's not necessary for him, in my opinion. He's so quick with the ball. He's got to focus a little harder on getting 2 feet in the paint because he can do it. But he spends a lot of time dilly-dallying and trying to get that separation for a 3-ball. And I know he's on the skinnier side, but he's so quick with the ball, and he is shifty. I just think he has that classic problem to me of a lot of modern hoopers that they do too much. It's almost like, they've grown up in the ball is life era, the and one era, and they're trying to get a highlight play every time. You know what I'm saying? I know there's trainers out there that are teaching a bunch of these kids I'm not saying Bones Highland had this, but just a lot of nonsense moves that either they're never going to try in a game or never going to work in a game. And it just feels as though sometimes Bones can really fall into that trap, and I saw that in this game. And then there's other times where he'll come off a screen in the pick and roll, and it looks like he can turn that corner, but he'll pull it back out and then ask for the screen again. It's a lot of that. It's a lot of reprobing and all that. But overall, I thought he still had some good moments. The talent is there. When he gets to the rim, he has some nice array of finishes. He has good moments defensively in this game, actually. Solid usage of hands, and he's got some long arms. So I've been saying that he has potential defensively in the passing lanes and with steals. I just don't think he's the best laterally, and he's not that strong. And he also doesn't really have much of an appetite for playing defense. But in this game, he had 3 steals. He had 10 points, 6 rebounds, and 3 assists. But he also had 3 turnovers and was 4 for 13 from the field. And to prove my point about the 3-pointers, he shot 1 for 7 from 3. 7 of his 13 shots were from beyond the arc. And he's not shooting well. So as much as I love Bones, he's not better than KPJ, and the team signed KPJ. So that's that. Kevin Porter Jr. is going to be starting. I'm sorry, not starting. Is going to be preferred over Bones. It's unfortunate if you really have been wanting Bones Highland to get that opportunity as a backup point guard for this team, like I and other Clipper fans have. But who knows? I think Bones needs to go to a team that's not very good, honestly, and be their backup point guard. Because on a win now team, I don't know if he's quite ready. Even though he hasn't gotten an extended run, I truly don't know if he's quite ready. Now, Amir Coffey, and by the way, I love Bones Highland. I think he's great. I think his personality is really fun. I think he can excite a whole crowd easily when he gets hot. But I just feel bad for him, honestly, because it felt like he was going to be that backup point guard for the Clippers, and fans were really excited about it. And last year, it kind of feels as though he lost a year of development, Didn't get a chance to really get in-game reps. As far as someone who did finally get the chance to get in-game reps on a win-now team, Amir Coffey. And we obviously saw him disappoint in the playoffs. In the preseason, in my opinion, he's been pretty good. He's been super active defensively with his hands, like super active, off ball and on. He's gone now in transition. At times he's finished, at times he hasn't. But I, just like Terrence Mann, know that Amir Coffey getting out on the break is better for his game. It's better for the Clippers. He and Terrence are two of the best athletes we have, and they're good finishers in traffic. Now, Amir, in this game, played with a different sort of desperation that I'd never seen, a different sort of aggression with the ball in his hands that I'd never seen. And it felt as though, hey, man, I got to step it up or Jordan Miller is on my tail trying to get my rotation spot. Because that's, to me, the facts of the matter. Jordan Miller's on a two-way contract, so he can't technically be a bigger part of the team than Coffey, I don't think, this year. But who knows? If the Clippers get creative and see enough from Jordan Miller and then package some guys away, PJ Tucker, maybe Bones Highland, maybe even Amir Coffey, who knows? To make more room for Jordan Miller to play, does Amir Coffey become expendable? I mean, Jordan Miller's a lefty around the similar height, similar kind of position as Amir. So he's got to know, and by the way, I'm not saying that's a fact what I'm saying, but it just felt like watching it that Amir was playing with the desperation of, yeah, this guy's coming. And competition for spots is always good in my opinion. But Amir was good. I mean, Amir was great in this game for me. Knocking down open shots, knocking down some contested shots, trying to get to the basket, letting it fly. I mean, as I said, a different level of aggression. He had 18 points to go along with 2 boards, 1 assist, and a steal. Shot 5 for 10 from the field, 3 for 6 from 3, and perfect from the line, 5 for 5 in 23 minutes. Thought he was solid. And as of now, so going back to the lineup off the bench, right, or the players that I believe are definitely going to be used. I stopped at KPJ, but KPJ, Nico Batum, a backup big, so say Mo Bamba, Kai Jones. Kai Jones has to be signed or given that two-way contract. So let's not even include Kai for now. Nico, KPJ, Chris Dunn, Amir Coffey, and then probably a big. Kobe Brown and Kai Jones. Now, Kai Jones had 3 points, 4 boards, 2 assists, 2 steals, 2 blocks, and 2 turnovers in this game on 1 for 2 shooting. For me, he was pretty active, but not as active and didn't have as great of a game as some of the previous ones. But still positive. A plus 13 when he was in the game. Super lively, super energetic, and showing that level of athleticism that nobody on our team truly has. And just showing why we need to sign him. We need to get him on this team because we have sorely lacked athleticism these last couple of years, as I've beaten like a dead horse on this show. Chris Dunn, just to prove my point about his offense in this game, 0 points, 0 for 2 from the field, 0 for 2 from 3. But his defense is really, really good. Super active with his hands, physical. You can tell he just has that hunger and interest in playing defense and being good at it. Kobe Brown, solid performance by him in this one, actually. Very all around. 10 points, 8 rebounds. You saw a little bit of some playmaking chops and pick and roll with him. 6 assists. 4 for 7 from the field, 2 for 4 from three. So efficient, got in double figures. I've said on this show, his best NBA skill actually might be rebounding. He's a pretty good rebounder, but guys that just rebound well and don't do other things well don't really play that much anymore. Those kinds of skill sets aren't required and as valued in this era. It's all about, can he make that outside shot consistently? In this game, he made it, but it hasn't been consistent. So I still think Kobe Brown, because he's on a standard contract, is ahead of the pecking order, is ahead of Jordan Miller in the pecking order. Without Kawhi, I'd say he's probably the 11th man. But man, I wish Jordan Miller was on a standard contract and Kobe was on the two-way. We've seen better from Jordan Miller, in my opinion, through Summer League and now. He just looks like his ability to put the ball in the basket and score is better than any NBA talent that Kobe Brown might have. And there's also some defensive potential in there. Played multiple years in college. Some of those guys can sneak up on teams. And sneak up in terms of how good they are, because they just, besides being NBA quality players, they just know how to play the game because they've played in systems, in the collegiate game for several years. Like a Terrence Mann. There might be some similarities there. And if Jordan Miller has any kind of Clipper legacy close to Terrence Mann, I would be extremely satisfied. But anyway, that was the last preseason game, ladies and gentlemen. Clippers went 4-1. There were some good signs. There were some concerning signs. But overall, if you were to ask me, do I feel better about the team and how good it is after preseason? Or did I feel better before? Or do I feel worse after watching them, I should say? I feel better. The only thing I'm concerned about is Kawhi. He's the missing piece of this equation. When we have Kawhi Leonard with this personnel, I think we're going to really sneak up on some teams. Our defense is going to be really good. We have a lot more athletes than before. The pecking order is more clear. And I think it's going to bring the best out of everybody else, because it's going to need the best out of everybody else. But the defensive personnel is so great. It's just I'm concerned about his availability, as always. So we'll talk a little bit more about how I feel about the preseason and our performance there collectively. And probably some more rotation questions. Because, man, Jordan Miller, he got me really excited. I can't lie, Clipper fans. Like, just from fan to fan, maybe there's something there. Maybe we're not super screwed. For fans that want rebuild, we definitely want Jordan Miller around for that. You can follow me on Twitter and Instagram at DimeDropperPod. Subscribe to my own YouTube channel, Dime Dropper, for even more LA Clipper, LA Sports, and NBA content. And Locked On Clippers is free and available wherever you get your podcasts, including YouTube. You can listen on audio and Spotify if you can't watch on YouTube. But on YouTube, please comment what you think of what I was saying about Jordan Miller, about our preseason, anything. The age-old proverb continues, and have a great weekend. Go Clippers.